You guys know that famous picture of Rosa Parks sitting on the bus was not real, right? Yeah, this was a staged photo. You also know that the event of her sitting in the front of the bus and getting arrested was not spontaneous or random either, right? You know that was calculated. It was all planned out. They purposely targeted certain buses in the South that were segregated in order to manufacture this event. Yeah, the majority of black people in the South didn't care about the segregated bus lines because we had our own bus lines.
Black folk had up 100 times more before social integration hit. See, I'm old enough to tell you all that. You all not old enough to know that yet. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We were looking for this social integration. You know why? Because we had our own businesses there. We had our own businesses. My family was part of one that had the only black bus line in the entire United States. And I said we had a bus line. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 buses. We had over 500 buses.
Wow.
In Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And guess what? We had that from 1927 up to about 1967. In Winston-Salem, we also had our own cab companies. We had our own restaurants. We had our own hotels. We had our own school systems. And the bus lines, an example, we don't kill our buses.
Right.
Social integration. When all of a sudden, y'all start talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King going down to Alabama, want to integrate the bus lines. Integrate whose bus lines? White bus lines. What they want? They didn't want to own and control and get the resources. They just want to sit on the front of it. Now, you tell me, what does that indicate? And blacks in Winston-Salem says, we want to ride on front of some white buses. So we said, we don't have any white buses. They said, well, we'll get some so we can ride on the front of them.
I feel like a complete asshole because I never thought about that. Like that whole time they did the boycott, they should have been trying to establish their own bus company as opposed to wanting to ride. I never thought about that. Y'all boycotted for a year just to want to ride on the front?
See, you're a smart man.
I never thought about that.
Yes, we had our own bus lines. We had our own movie theaters. We had our own law firms. We had our own grocery stores. We had our own schools. We had our own banks, hotels, medical offices, all black owned and black operated. We literally built our own economies in the South, despite segregation. And there were many black folks at the time in black schools and black businesses that were doing better than white businesses and white schools. The truth is, we built the American dream for ourselves, completely self-dependent and self-reliant. So why do we start focusing so much on integration? And I'm not saying segregation is a good thing, but what I am saying is we were doing better as a community when we were focused on what we can do for ourselves instead of what somebody else can do for us. This was the philosophy of Booker T. Washington, and we accomplished it. Despite slavery, despite segregation, despite oppression, we overcame and we accomplished the American dream.
I've always asked, has integration helped to harm the black community? I think it harmed.
Knocked the black folks' brains out. Black folk had up 100 times more before social integration hit. See, I'm old enough to tell you all that. You all not old enough to know that yet. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, see, we had something. We had communities. We had communities all over America. In every city had a major community. Here, Harlem, places like that.
Yeah, we only hear about Black Wall Street. Sometimes you hear about Bronzeville in Chicago. I can't remember the town in North Carolina, but we don't hear about that. They were literally those communities all over the country.
That's right. Well, Sweet Auburn and Atlanta, Georgia, that's had all the big hotels, fine restaurants, and everything. See, and our Safe Bus Company, SAF, you can go to your computer and find out about the Safe Bus Company in Winston-Salem. We own the buses. Mm-hmm. We own the resources. All of our mechanics were blacks. All of our drivers were blacks. Electricians were black. Everything was black.
This was the mindset that black Americans had when we were aligned with the Republican Party. But do you know what happened? Democrats came and destroyed those economies. They destroyed those cities. They destroyed the black wealth and black businesses. And they were aided by police and government officials who were aligned with the Democratic South. Only for the civil rights movement to be hijacked by the Democratic Party and for its aim and cause to become not about what we can do for ourselves, but what the Democratic coalition and government, the same party that destroyed our independence, can do for us. It makes no sense. The way history is told is basically that black people were doing terrible before the 1960s and the Civil Rights Acts were passed. But the truth is we were doing so much better for ourselves before that time. And before the focus was about integration and what the government can do for us. That was our biggest downfall. I talk about this in more detail and so many other things in my best-selling book, How the Democrats Won the Blacks, From Physical to Mental Slavery. In this book, I reveal the true origins of both political parties and the real events that took place that caused Black Americans to realign from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, all backed up by historical documentation and government report. If you want the true history you were not taught in school, my book is available now for order on Amazon. You can find the link in my bio or just comment the word book and I'll send the link right to your DM.